Video notice and demand for federal officials to cease and desist from attacking the people's right to protect themselves and the states. We the people. We the people of the 50 American states, sui juris, of our own right, do present you with this notice that you and your agents may provide due care. Please take notice that the people have taken the time to properly study so as to come together in mass across the nation and deal with matters for the common good. We the people wish to address your attempts to use legislative fiat to attack the people's rights. Fiat, a decree, a command to do something. Congress has no authority to interfere. Please take notice that Congress has no authority to interfere with the people's right to have the weapons the people deem necessary for defense. Maxim 9C. It is a liberty of free citizens to retain arms for their protection and according to their condition. A guaranteed and absolute right. Please take notice that the people have a guaranteed and absolute right to have the weapons necessary to protect and preserve themselves and their condition. There can be absolutely no possible authority for any legislature to make a rule, ban, or statute that would go against any right of the people without express written consent. In the case Miranda v. Arizona from 1966, the decision was, where rights secured by the Constitution are involved, there can be no rulemaking or legislation which would abrogate them. Abrogate means to annul, cancel, repeal, or destroy. Ambiguous laws. Please take notice that writing ambiguous laws under the Commerce Clause to deal with interstate commerce and international commerce has nothing to do with the common rights of the people, derivative from the common law, whom you swore, as trustees, to protect as a condition for receiving employment as the people's servants. Maxim 9D. Laws are silent amidst arms. Please take notice that as a maxim, you swore to never attack the rights of the people. Therefore, the people know and realize that your statutes are not against private use of the people or their associations. Maxim 9b says, under the name of arms are included not only shields and swords and helmets, but also clubs and stones. The people's weapons. Please take notice that as the people, we understand that you do not dictate what weapons are acceptable for the people. Though you may have enjoyed attorneys who have helped to write statutes without jurisdiction, vague enough to leave theft of jurisdiction as a possibility for decades, you have no authority of law to write such statutes or employ such saboteurs of the constitutional rights. Missouri Constitution, Article 1, Bill of Rights, Section 23, under the right to keep and bear arms exception, that the right of every citizen to keep and bear arms, ammunition, and accessories typical to the normal function of such arms in defense of his home, person, family, and property, or when lawfully summoned in aid of the civil power, shall not be questioned. The rights guaranteed by this section shall be unalienable. Any restriction on these rights shall be subject to strict scrutiny, and the state of Missouri shall be obligated to uphold these rights and shall under no circumstances decline to protect against their infringement. Nothing in this section shall be construed to prevent the General Assembly from enacting general laws which limit the rights of convicted violent felons or those duly adjudged mentally infirm by a court of competent jurisdiction. Unalienable means incapable of being sold or transferred. Rights inherent in the people. Please take notice that you as agents of the United States have made contracts with all states and agreed that these rights were inherent in the people nationwide. In the Virginia Constitution, Article 1, Bill of Rights, Section 13, titled Militia, Standing Armies, Military Subordinate to Civil Power, says that a well-regulated militia, composed of the body of the people, trained to arms, is the proper, natural, and safe defense of a free state. Therefore, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That standing armies in time of peace should be avoided as dangerous to liberty, and that in all cases the military should be under strict subordination to and governed by the civil power. In the Michigan Constitution, Article 1, Declaration of Rights, Section 6, titled Bearing of Arms, it says, "Every person has a right to keep and bear arms for the defense of himself and the state." In here means to exist in. Inherent power means authority possessed without being derived from another. Limited powers granted. Please take notice that the people understand your limited powers granted to the Federal Constitution regarding interstate commerce and foreign commerce, found in Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution. The people would like to believe that you are not presenting this gun ban as an attempt to block the power of lawful people to buy weapons of their choosing, as the original intent of the legislature, as shown in your own statute, declares the same. In Public Law 90-618, Title I, State Firearms Control Assistance, October 22, 1968, Purpose, Section 101. The Congress hereby declares that the purpose of this title is to provide support to federal, state, and local law enforcement officials in their fight against crime and violence. And it is not the purpose of this title to place any undue or unnecessary federal restrictions or burdens on law-abiding citizens with respect to acquisition, possession, or use of firearms appropriate to the purpose of hunting, trap shooting, target shooting, personal protection, or any other lawful activity, and that this title is not intended to discourage or eliminate the private ownership or use of firearms by law-abiding citizens for lawful purposes, or provide for the imposition by federal regulations of any procedures or requirements other than those reasonably necessary to implement and effectuate the provisions of this title. No law against our rights. Please take notice that, as the people, we now recognize that you cannot make a law against the people's guaranteed rights, nor can you make any rule that would infringe against the right of the people. It is therefore understood that you may have had an oversight in the presentation of your ideas, that somehow these statutes that you have written somehow affected the rights of the people you serve. Please take notice that a failure to immediately give a point of clarity as Congress correcting these issues publicly to the people, or for any justice of the Supreme Court to step up, using the authority granted to you to remedy situations given to you outside of court, shall be deemed a transgression against the people of the highest degree. Thank you for your immediate attention to these matters, and please see Judge's authority following. Infringe means to break his contracts or to violate. Ex parte Milligan from 1866 says, "It was the manifest design of Congress to secure a certain remedy by which anyone deprived of liberty could obtain it if there was a judicial failure to find cause of offense against him. Courts are not always in session and can adjourn on the discharge of the grand jury, and before those who are in confinement could take proper steps to procure their liberation. To provide for this contingency, authority was given to the judges out of court to grant relief to any party who could show that, under the law, he should be no longer restrained of his liberty." Maladministration. Please take notice that the people have been, in the past, and are currently being restrained and threatened in their liberty. It is the will of the people that all officers and trustees take action to prevent the maladministration and harms that would take place by using ambiguous statutes and declarations of their meaning, not in line with the original intent of the Congress in its original legislation. Any attempt to thwart your duty to correct these issues and give clarity, or any failure to cease and desist any further actions against the people's rights, will be considered a willful trespass with full knowledge, intent, and malice. Response required. Furthermore, if you believe that any of these claims are untrue, please respond by affidavit with constitutional provisions granting you the authority to infringe upon the people's rights, posting it publicly, or you agree that all herein be true and that you or any officer acting to interfere with the people's rights shall be personally responsible for $10 million per incident, and we reserve our right to bring this issue before an arbitrator of our choice. Authorized by we the people. Closing notes. If you would like to participate in having this notice sent to the U.S. President, Supreme Court, Federal Attorney General, and Representative Jim Jordan for reminding them of our rights to keep and bear arms without infringement, please click the provided link in the description box below this video. There's also other important notes in that box as well. Thank you for listening.